This is a brilliant comment which he has made. The question of 309 and 300. They slept for 300 years in the cave. It's also there in Christian scriptures. They slept for 300 years in the cave. وَازْدَادُوا تِسْعَةً, and some people add 9. This is to indicate that there is a solar year and there is a lunar year. And some people use the solar year for calculating time, and others use the lunar year for calculating time. There is no need for a boxing match. Put away your boxing gloves, fighting over which is the correct one, the solar year or the lunar year, because both have been created by Allah. This is why وَازْدَادُوا تِسْعَةً. However, the other part of the subject is brilliant. They were using silver coins. We call them dirham, in Arabic darahim, dirham. And 300 years had passed, and in 300 years, which is 300 solar years, okay, there was no inflation. No inflation. So the money could still buy the food. Dajjal came and took this money out of the market in the end time, Akhirul Zaman. And Dajjal replaced it with another money. And when you paid your salary in that other money, it behaved in a very funny way. When you got your salary, you could buy, with 1 month's salary, you could buy a camel. But then after a couple of years, the same salary can't buy a camel anymore. It could only buy a donkey. And then after some years, the same salary can't buy a donkey anymore. It can only buy a goat. And then if you know about Indonesia and Bangladesh, you know, after some years, you can't buy a goat anymore, you can only buy a chicken. The money is either leaking, the money is losing value. And as the money loses value, the value of your wage becomes less and less. The value of your property becomes less and less. Somebody is ripping you off. And 3 times in the Qur'an, 3 times in the Qur'an, Allah has prohibited this. He says, وَلَا تَبْخَسُ النَّاسَ أَشْيَاءَهُمْ. Bakhs, do not decrease. Do not cause the value of people's property and wage to be constantly becoming less and less. 3 times in the Qur'an. وَلَا تَبْخَسُ النَّاسَ أَشْيَاءَهُمْ. The reason why it becomes less and less is because you are being attacked with inflation. As the value of the money falls, the prices rise. Okay? Prices rise. And you are being ripped off. As prices rise, people's lives become more difficult. And as people have more difficult, Egypt just got a blow, a massive blow on the head. Egypt just got it. Egyptian pound fell by 50%. Yeah, just 1 week ago. What happens is that after a certain time, people are alienated and they turn against the government. So if you want to rule the world and make sure that every government put their toe on the line and don't move off that line, you need a sword called inflation. And when they know that if they vote the wrong way in the United Nations, your money is going to start losing value, they know we must vote the correct way. Hugo Chavez in Venezuela said, no, I'm not going to be a slave. So Hugo Chavez in Venezuela, with much less courage and integrity, dismissed them, resisted them. See what happened to the Venezuelan Bolivar? The Venezuelan Bolivar today is worth nothing. Robert Mugabe in Zimbabwe, for 20 years he remained the little blue-eyed boy until the people became restless. They don't have the land, the white man has the land. And when he realized that there is a threat to his rule now, he then decided to abandon this slavish mentality, and he seized the land from the whites and he gave it to the black. Then guess what happened to the Zimbabwe dollar? Huh? You know what happened? Yeah. I landed in Harare. I wanted to make a telephone call to tell my people I've arrived. So I have to change some South African rands to Zimbabwe dollars. And I asked her, how much does it cost to make a local telephone call? And they told me $2 million.